Okay, I'm ready. It's me, Wendy. And I've been on this kick lately where I'm trying to better myself, trying to get a better understanding of things that maybe I should have known a long time ago. But being that I'm a middle-aged woman born and raised in the South, I wasn't taught right, maybe. So I'm confessing some of my ignorances and putting myself out there, and it's a really scary thing to do. But today's the doozy, because I have a confession to make, and I'm mortified. I'm embarrassed to tell you about it. But if I don't, then it's I'm missing the point of my own effort here. Okay, here we go. I feel like I'm getting ready to expose myself, like I'm getting ready to show you all my stretch marks or something. But here's the truth. Here's my truth. When I was in high school, I was a cheerleader, and we had a boys girls squad, and it was a big high school, and we were really good. We were really competitive enough that we could go to summer camp and really compete at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, was a couple hundred miles away, several hundred miles away. It took a lot of money to get a whole cheerleading squad out there, and so we had to raise money to make the trip. And the way we raised money to make the trip was, among other ways, a fireworks stand that we sold fireworks for right before the 4th of July. And it was really fun because mostly it was about seeing people that came there to buy fireworks. A bunch of our classmates, we'd be all vying for attention up there at the counter for, the cute guy or whatever cute girl that came up there. So we're up there doing our cute thing when this big old yellow Cadillac pulls up. And the man that got out of that Cadillac, he was just a scary looking guy. And it wasn't because his skin was super dark. It was. He was a black guy who had super dark skin. But he looked like that guy, Michael, I can't remember his last name, from the Green Mile. He was just a huge human being, and he had a little bit of a bulge to his eyes. I mean, he was just scary looking. But I noticed, I'm so sanctimonious, I noticed that some of my teammates back behind the counter with me were suddenly not vying for the attention of this dude wanting to wait on him. And I was thinking to myself, that's racist. Why would they be shying away from the counter now? Suddenly they're too busy to wait on this person now. Well, not me. Not me. I was raised by a mother who taught me that it wasn't okay for my grandmother to be saying the N-word. Most loving, kind, nurturing woman in the world. My grandmother, who regularly used the N-word. We all knew that wasn't okay. Mom finally convinced her not to do that anymore, so she switched and started calling people colored. Anyway, I was raised by that woman, and it wasn't okay not to serve this man. So I step up to the counter and I serve this man. Hi, how can I help you? What would you like to buy today? He tells me what he wants to buy, and I go and we start making the transaction. And when he goes to pay, he did this thing that you know what people do if you've ever, been in a situation where you've taken money from people or sold goods, where someone gives you a bill and then they ask for change for another one and trade me that one, and then pretty soon you've done so many transactions back and forth, you get kind of confused and you don't realize until after they leave, hey, I got hoodwinked. I actually paid them to take that. Well, that same kind of thing was happening here. He was trying to tell me he gave me a 20, and I knew for a fact he gave me a 10. I was so pissed. I couldn't believe he was trying to do that. When he realized I wasn't going to fall for it, he sort of just chuckled and went on his way. But right before he got into his car to leave, oh God, I'm going to say it. I can't believe I'm going to say it. I actually screwed up my courage to yell at this man across that gravel parking lot. Hey, It's people like you that give blacks a bad name. There. I said that out loud. And actually was kind of proud of myself at the time for saying it, and just incensed that he would do that to me, especially in front of these people that I thought were discriminating against him, and I was trying to stand up for him. Anyway, it wasn't until years later when I was replaying that moment where I thought, what the hell was I thinking? Oh my gosh. It's folks like you that give blacks a bad name? Really? First of all, how many things are wrong with that? Blacks had a bad name. Let's start with that. Blacks had a bad name, Wendy? Well, in fact, they did. They had a bad name. And it wasn't the N-word. It was this idea that people of color were porch-dwelling, sucking off the public teat, government cheese-eating, lazy folks who will try to swindle you out of money at a fireworks stand. And that kind of underscored, this was in the 80s, so, Reagan was already in office by this time, and we'd already sunk a bunch of money as a nation into the top of our economy, the wealthiest in our economy, and in hopes that it would trickle down. We found out that it didn't. Of course, that didn't stop us from doing it again a couple of years ago. It doesn't trickle down, people. It actually, when you put money into the bottom of the economy, it trickles up, enriches everybody. Forget all that. Anyway, so blacks had a bad name, and I was buying into it. I bought it. I'm embarrassed. I bought it. Okay, fast forward to when we have a pandemic. We have a pandemic, and the people that, don't own businesses, they don't own land, they don't own property, they work in jobs that are service oriented. They cook our food, they deliver stuff. They're still working in servitude to us. Suddenly, they're essential workers. Really? Essential workers. I got hoodwinked 2 other times in my life after that man did that day. Both times by white guys. And it would never have crossed my mind to yell out at either one of them. It's folks like you that give whites a bad name. It would never occur to me that had anything to do with race. So while I was raised by, very progressive-ish parents in the South and taught that things that were happening and being said around me weren't right, I was buying the lie, guys. I was buying the lie that somehow impoverished people in our country, which, by and large represent a lot of people of color, are really just, the lazy folks. And I'm sorry. I apologize for having bought that, because now I realize that, when the rubber meets the road and we are going to have to, do something drastic to save our nation from falling victim to a pandemic, we rely most heavily on our essential workers. And when we have to resurrect our economy, we have to put it in at the bottom, because economists know that's where it goes. People at the bottom spend it, and then it floats all boats. Anyway, I just wanted to fess up and tell you, I've had my own awakening. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. I imagine I'm not the only one.